Hello, and welcome to the TV Enthusiast discussion of Game of Thrones. This week we are going to be talking about Season 5, Episode 4, and Season 5, Episode 5. We're going to be talking kind of about the whole thing together as one kind of event, instead of going over each episode's event separately. So, it seems like Game of Thrones is finally kind of picking up. Some interesting stuff was happening in episode 4. I think much more interesting stuff happening in episode 5. We actually recorded an entire video chat about episode 4 last week, but some of the audio didn't come out, and we just ended up having to scrap it. So this week we're just going to be going over these two. Next week we should be covering episode 6 like normal. In the meantime, let's get on with the topic. So, joining me today is Will, our news director.
Hello.
So, let's start it off. So, first off, starting from kind of just the events that are going on here in the land of Westeros and across the Narrow Sea, Cersei is making some power plays against Marjorie Tyrell and this kind of war inside her head she's got going on between the two.
Over the fate of her son, Yes. Basically, she is extremely jealous of Marjorie. She feels Marjorie is stealing her son away from her, and she wants to, in a way, get her son back from this woman. And so she's doing everything she can to strike out at this woman, including arming the Faith Militant and having them capture her brother, Sir Loras, and also taking, I'm not sure the relation, I guess, uncle?
No, it's her dad.
Uncle, her dad, okay.
Or it's sure. It's her dad, I think. Her dad or her grandfather. I think it's her dad. Mace Tyrell?
Mace Tyrell, sending him on a mission with one of her knights, where surely her knight is going to execute him. And then basically pulling a Robert Baratheon.
Yeah, it seems obvious that, her sending Mace on that mission has a sinister motive. The tension was in the air when she pointed out her knight. Of course, Mace is kind of stupid, so he doesn't suspect anything.
Yeah,
he's just like, oh, okay, do.
He's really an idiot. Which is funny because Marjorie and her mother are not idiots at all. But this guy's kind of stupid, so maybe that's why Marjorie's mother married him. I don't know. Because he's easily manipulated.
I think it might be that he's Marjorie's father, and then Olenna, the other one, is his mother. So I think that's Marjorie's grandma. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hopefully not both.
Hopefully not both.
But with the Lannisters.
Grandpa.
With the Lannisters doing what they do, who knows in this world.
You know, right? Also, we got Littlefinger leaving Sansa in King's Landing. He told Sansa the little story about Rhaegar's infatuation with her aunt, how he left a crown of flowers for her after the jousting.
Yeah.
The jousting festival, which shocked everybody because he was betrothed to another.
He was already married, I think.
Yeah, he was already married. Yeah, that's.
It was Martell. It was Oberyn's sister.
Yeah, he was married to Oberyn's sister at the time. So when he rode past her and gave the crown of flowers to Lyanna Stark, that must have shocked everyone.
Yeah, in a way it was part of what led to Robert's rebellion. Of course, the real reason for that was, what the Mad King was doing.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like a part of the tipping point that kind of spurred everything off and caused everything to escalate into, what ended up happening.
Jamie and Braun ended up in Dorne.
Mm-hmm.
And also, we got to see from Dorne, we got to see the Sand Snakes for the first time. Um, and they're all for revenge. They're like 100% for it. So they're with Oberyn's sister in this argument rather than with Oberyn's brother.
I think that's Oberyn's lover, but again, this is Game of Thrones, so it could be both for all I know.
That's Oberyn's lover.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep messing up the relations of these characters. So
Well, if we're talking about the Lannisters, we know that they're both, and
yeah,
for anybody
yeah,
else, we're
I
just
know, right?
confused. So, yeah, but it was really cool seeing the eldest Sand Snake kind of telling a story about how she met Oberyn and how he had said that everybody kind of chooses their own weapons and referred to his weapon as being the spear, and her mother's weapon as being her tears.
Yeah,
Stop him from taking her to court and everything. And that's I just thought that was really kind of interesting, and it showed how she chose a spear and where. You look at the different sand snakes. One's using a whip. One has these like daggers, and then that one's using her father's spear, the same spear.
right.
You know.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So there was a lot with stories in the fourth episode. We talked about this story with Oberyn, but we also mentioned about a story about Rhaegar Targaryen that Littlefinger was telling to Sansa. There was another story about Rhaegar Targaryen that was being told by Selmy Barristan, I believe is his
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
Yeah,
He was telling that to Daenerys about.
yeah, about how her oldest brother was a like a he'd go into the streets and play music and collect money and give it to charities, and he just seemed like a very charming and friendly person.
Right, it's different. The different interpretations of this character that each story brings. One story paints him as this villainous. He's stealing Lyanna Stark, and then the
Mhm.
other story, paints him. He's a really nice guy.
He's a
He cares.
romantic.
Yeah, he's a romantic. He loves singing, and I thought that was an interesting dichotomy there.
The fan theory is that the original books, the series of the book is called "A Song of Ice and Fire," and like the fan theory is that basically Jon Snow is the Song of Ice and Fire because he's the product of a Targaryen and a Stark. Stark's
Oh,
being the ice and
what? That
Targaryen's being
that
the fire.
actually fits perfectly when you put it like that.
Yeah. So it kind of that's been kind of like a huge fan theory going around. Just kind of there's some areas where it's more clear in the books that that's kind of being hinted at. Of course, when I say it's being hinted at and all these kind of things, that could very well be an intentional red herring being placed by George R. R. Martin.
Yeah.
He could put everything in the direction to make you go, oh, okay, this is what's going to happen, and then kill off Jon Snow and everybody else that is remotely tied to that theory.
Yeah, I know, right?
So, knowing George R. R. Martin, we have no idea what that would actually come to in the series. It's just kind of the theory about where John perhaps came from. And
Mhm.
that's a popular theory, and that kind of ties into kind of everything that they've been talking about with Rhaegar seems to be connecting to that theory. Either directly in like a giving more evidence way, or in like a planting a red herring way.
Nice, nice. Yeah, definitely. Um, for sure. I mean,
There's
it's an interesting theory. I don't know if I quite buy into it, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. If that theory is ever validated. Maybe it won't be. Who knows?
It could just be completely ignored.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. I mean,
um,
um, then we got the scene. Well, speaking of Jon Snow, we got the scenes from the wall. Not much happening on the wall this episode. Jon Snow had to ask for soldiers from various places, and of course, one of those places happens to be from Roose Bolton in the north. He wasn't too happy about that. You know, that's part of his job. But the big thing that happened in the north was not centered around Jon Snow this episode, but was centered on Stannis Baratheon, who had a big scene with his daughter, a very touching, emotional scene where he told yet another story. Told a story about his daughter, how she got the stone disease when she was an infant, and the lengths he went to save her, and how he managed to save her.
yeah, it was a touching scene. It was interesting because Stannis is so kind of cold and robotic,
Yeah, yeah,
most of
yeah.
the time. And so it's interesting kind of seeing this different perspective on it. It was cool when she kind of ran up and gave him a hug, and he kind of had his arms just kind of down like he didn't know what to do.
Yeah,
And then
I
it took him a
know.
few
It's like,
seconds, and then finally it's like, oh, yes, human warmth. Wrap arms around.
yeah, I know, right? What is this? What should I be doing?
Of course, this led to scenes in episode 5, which we're also discussing here, in which we got to see the stone disease and kind of
Oh,
people that
we're
have been
way
completely
ahead of
taken over
ourselves
by
now.
it.
Yeah.
So
That was the big thing at the end of the episode 5. Well, the big thing is where episode 5 starts. We found out that yes, Sir Barristan Selmy is dead. He
yeah,
got killed, but Grey Worm actually survived. So, whereas at the end of episode 4 we thought they were both might be dead, it turns out Grey Worm did survive, but Sir Barristan did perish in that skirmish with the Sons of the Harpy.
and Daenerys decided to play a bit of hardball with the way she's
Yeah,
dealing
she
with
was
these
like,
families.
oh, that was an intense scene. She gathered them up and she walked them towards her dragons.
The heads of all the families.
Yeah, the heads of all the families. Oh, and that was brutal too. When that dragon like friggin' roasted that guy, and then the other one came in and they picked him up and they ripped him in half. And it was,
Yeah,
oh,
it
what
was
a
an
way to
amazing,
go out.
amazing special effects sequence.
Yes, that was.
Like
Like,
that's the kind of stuff we want to see with those dragons. So it was really cool.
it was really cool.
Speaking of dragons, we got to see another dragon. Somebody got to see a dragon for the first time.
Tyrion.
Yeah.
Tyrion saw a dragon. It's funny because I just realized when I clicked on the episode that the promo shot for the big shot for the season is a picture of Tyrion on the hull of the boat staring at a dragon. Dragons in front of him. And that's been the image that they used for the season all season. And I think now we finally got that in the show, sort of.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's really cool because it's he's sitting there talking, kind of being his usual charming self, trying to make the voyage more comfortable with Jorah, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, there's a fucking dragon.
I know, right?
The whole scene was really interesting, just them approaching with the fog and the runes of old Valeria that we always
Oh
just
my
kind of
God,
heard
I
about.
couldn't believe. I'm kind of confused though. Like, why is Jorah sailing through old Valeria? Like, what's he hoping to find there?
I don't think he's trying to find anything there. I think what he's trying to do is, because he mentioned that, because Tyrion asked him, are you planning on picking her up something in her ancestral homeland? And he said no. People think it's cursed. The old Valeria is cursed, and pirates keep away from it. So he's going through there basically to avoid
Oh, I see. To avoid
being
trouble.
captured by pirates.
Right.
Which I was reading up some descriptions of like kind of book differences, and in the books, like, actually, they did get abducted by pirates. They didn't go through Old Valeria, and they did get abducted by
Well,
pirates. But
Jorah read the books,
they did have an
obviously.
encounter with Stone Man.
Yeah. Well,
Or
Jorah read the books, obviously, so he's like, I'm not repeating that mistake. Let's go through Valeria. But yeah, they encountered the Stone Men, which had the same disease Stannis' daughter had. But they, unlike her, they were not ever cured. Apparently, I guess it's so contagious that if they touch you, you get it. And so basically, they had the big skirmish with Stormmen, and I had like the one moment that I've been dreading for the whole series was when Tyrion was in the water and the Stone Man comes up behind it from underneath him and pulls him under.
and the show
And
fucks
then
with us because it cut to black
it cut to black, and then
for
I'm
like a
like,
few seconds.
that's the end of the episode because it was so close to the end of the episode because I was looking at the progress bar. I'm like, the episode's almost over. This could be it. It cuts to black, and I'm like, oh snap! Now credits, right? I'm like, you can't end like that. Don't do that to me. And then Tyrion wakes up on the beach. I'm like, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, the creators of the show just reached right into your chest and wrenched your heart. Their bare hands.
They did.
And then they said, okay.
They said, okay. They were merciful this week. They were
Not for Jorah.
not for Jorah, though, because
Poor Jorah got a surprise after reading the books and thinking he had a handle on what to do.
well, it turns out you avoid one danger, you just sail into another. So there is no avoiding danger 100% here. But yeah, like, I mean, I kind of already knew that Jorah was like going to be infected because I kind of figured. I watched too many zombie movies and zombie media to know that like whenever there's like a big zombie attack happening, one of the characters will be like, no, I'm fine, it's okay.
And then walk away with the person
away.
in the background and look at like a wound on their arm.
Wound on their arm. So I'm like, this is totally going to be that moment for Jorah, and I was correct.
Yeah.
Oh man. Maybe you should call Stannis and find out what kind of cure Stannis used ASAP.
I got to imagine it's got to be tied to the Red Priestess.
I think so, yeah.
Because he mentioned that they had called all the different people from the Citadel and stuff, but I can't imagine that answer would not be widespread if it was through an official means like that. It had to have been.
It had to be,
kind of sketchy, you know.
It was not an official cure. As far as anybody knows, there is no cure. That's why they take these people and apparently they dump them in Valeria.
Yeah, and then they become the Stone Men and jump off bridges into the water and creep us out.
This episode, though, was mostly focused on Jon Snow and his efforts to recruit the wildlings, to bring the wildlings south of the Wall, and all the controversy that caused, because even his most staunchest supporters are against him on this, because of all the mayhem that the wildlings have caused them in the past. But Jon Snow is like, we got this, we got an army of the undead, these unkillable creatures coming. The wildlings are going to be the first to be hit, and then they're going to be hit.
And then they're going to be part of that army of the undead.
They're going to be part of that. So he's like, we all got to work together here on this threat. And Stannis himself is also very aware of the threat because Stannis comes to Samwell Tarly, who is...
That was really cool. That was a cool scene.
That was a cool scene.
I liked seeing those two interact. It was kind of interesting to see because you don't... Samwell's such like a kind of... like humble amongst kind of the Night's Watch and stuff, but then you have Stannis as somebody that's kind of more intelligent, and he kind of knows, even though Samwell's not like a warrior, he knows like Samwell's kind of familiar history, and can recognize his intelligence and his worth.
Yeah.
And that made it for an interesting scene where you really see like, oh, Samuel's really integral to what the Night Watch need right now,
Yeah, he's really integral. So, and the reason Stannis visited Samwell is because, as far as anybody knows, Samwell's the only person who has managed to kill a White Walker. And Stannis is very interested in how that was possible, how that was achieved, because he knows they're going to have to do that on a larger scale.
Yeah.
And as far as Samwell knows, well, it's obsidian, it's Dragonstone. But they don't know why Dragonstone kills these creatures, just that it does.
And they actually made the interesting connection, which I'd heard about in kind of discussions from past seasons by people who'd read the books and stuff about obsidian being kind of something that's common in where is it, Dragonstorm, where Stannis came from.
Right.
It's like Home Castle is basically like a mineable source of obsidian.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, puts him kind of, the right kind of person to understand that. He's like, man, I sailed here. I should have picked up some obsidian before I came.
Yeah, I should have picked up some obsidian.
Why didn't you give me a call on the old cell phone before, buddy?
Right?
So yeah, it's kind of interesting. Now he'll have to send off some, a crow back to his castle and tell him to send constant flows of obsidian over to Castle Black.
Yeah, really, right? Make sure they're well armed with that stuff. And then I think finally, the final thing we had in this episode was the bit with Sansa and the Boltons, especially Ramsay Snow, or should I say Ramsay Bolton now.
Mm-hmm.
He acquired the name. There also Sansa reunited with Reek.
With Theon, yes.
With Theon, yes. She reunited with Theon. It was not a happy reunion, of course. She heard what Theon supposedly did to her brothers. She thinks Theon killed her brothers. Her brothers are still very much alive, unbeknownst to her.
Ramsay knows that too, because Theon told him last season.
That's true. Ramsay knows that too.
But he's not going to, help give any claim to any other Stark heirs.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I know. Well, yeah. He's not, no. But there was like the really awkward dinner scene.
Yeah, that was painfully awkward. Yes.
A very painfully awkward dinner scene where Ramsay had Theon apologize to Sansa for killing her brothers.
And then Ramsay's own father dropped his own little bombshell on top of Ramsay.
Oh yeah, I'm pregnant. It's a boy. Or yeah, I'm pregnant, and he's like, it's a boy. And it's like
your entire legitimacy is in question again.
Dinner with the Boltons.
Yeah.
It's always an awkward time.
We also got a little story from Roose Bolton to Ramsay about Ramsay's mother, and God.
Oh, she was
more Bolton fun.
He did not give two craps about.
Oh.
It was a
he
story.
raped Ramsay's mother because Ramsay's mother got married to a man without his official permission. So he hung her husband and raped her underneath his swinging body. What a lovely man.
This is such a sweet and charming story of Ramsay's birth.
Roose seems to have like a kind of violent disregard to marriage.
He really does, yeah. He's obviously with this woman He clearly does not love at all.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
think she was one of Walder Frey's daughters, right?
yeah, she is. Actually, her name is Walda Frey.
Walda Frey.
She's like the. She's like one of George Foreman's kids. How they're all named George, even the girls.
That's great.
So yeah, this episode and the last episode, we got a few kind of cool scenes. I mean, in episode 4, we had the scene with where Barristan got killed. We didn't find that out until this episode that he for sure died.
Right. The last episode left with like both those characters' fates very much in doubt.
Yeah.
We found out what those fates were.
And so we got that, and then this episode we had that kind of really cool scene in old Valeria, just the burning sea and all this really creepy looking place and the stone
Oh
men.
yeah. I am so happy they actually showed old Valeria in the show. Like,
yeah.
It's a smoking rock, but it's so cool because after having read the descriptions and stuff, I was like, it would be really cool to actually go there and see that. And then they did. They went there, and it's like, yes.
So yeah, this season is really starting to kind of pay off now. I feel like I felt like it was kind of a slow burn kind of start, but now you're starting to kind of get these connections. You have Tyrion rapidly approaching Daenerys, and that's always cool whenever two characters that are in different parts of the story kind of cross over, and run into each other. That's always a really cool scene.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that. From all the dialogue and stuff, it sounds like they're 20 years away still. It's like she might as well be in Andromeda from where they are. It's like, get Tyrion to Daenerys already. I want to see this meeting. I want to see this confrontation. It's going to be mind-blowing. Come on. Stop teasing me.
There's one important thing we kind of didn't mention, I think, which is that after Daenerys had her little vengeful moment where she took all the heads of the families out to introduce them to her dragons.
She allowed the fighting pits to happen. She said
Not only that, but she said that she's going to marry one of the heads of the old households, directly implying it's going to be her advisor that she was visiting at the cell at that time.
Yep. She said she's going to marry him, and it's clearly politically motivated. But yeah, that's going to cause like some tension. I bet with her one advisor there, the warrior.
The head of the Second Sons.
Yeah, that she is so very clearly romantically involved with. That that's going to cause tensions.
I think we're in for a big kind of shocking twist when it comes to like who's kind of behind all this Sons of the Harpy stuff.
I think so.
I think a lot of is pushing it towards like, oh, this advisor of hers, he might be directly responsible. He might be the one that actually did it. I'm starting to think that that's all a swerve, and it's actually going to be the head of the Second Sons, that she's actually been sleeping with.
Oh man, if that was him, you know what? You're probably right on that. I can't think of anybody else where it'd be a huge twist. Maybe it's Grey Worm's girlfriend.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like something's coming up. Something's going to happen, that's going to make us go, oh! It's you're going to set it up. Like, it just seems like everything's going right for Daenerys now. Like, she's finally found the right move to make. She's properly instilled fears into these families, and now she's reopening the fighting pit. She's doing that. Well, that can't be the end of it, obviously.
No, it's not going to be the end of it.
The other shoe has to drop. And
Also, we forgot to mention the Grey Worm did have that scene with his girlfriend, with his lover there.
Well, a lover.
That was
much of a lover as an Unsullied can be.
Yeah, right. No, they're not physical weapons.
Yeah.
They're connected to their hearts, and love and stuff.
Love.
Love.
Love on Game of Thrones. So they're both doomed, in other words.
Yeah, so they're both doomed because they're like genuinely nice people and they're in love. So yeah, obviously they're marked for death.
uh, it's like whenever George R. R. Martin writes and he gets kind of butterflies in his stomach, he's like, "Oh, young love, kill them!" So yeah, so what do you think we have coming up? We officially are halfway through the season. So we have another
So
5 episodes left. What do you think we have coming up? Do you think we're going to have you think the big event's going to be in episode 9 again, like it always seems to be?
it could be. It could be. Well, we have the stuff with the sand snakes and their quest for vengeance.
And then you also have Jamie and Dorne where they
Jamie
are.
Dorn too, which that's gonna come to a head.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the big conflict in Dorne, where the Sand Snakes are gonna eventually meet up with Jamie, and that's gonna be the confrontation there. We got Tyrion headed towards Daenerys, and they're obviously gonna meet up, and that's gonna be an occasion when that does. I think you're right in that Cersei's machinations here will end up with the death of Tommen. I think that would probably be like the big major scene for the season.
I have this feeling that there's going to be like kind of an overlapping. It's going to be like like the scene in what is it in The Godfather when the
Yeah.
guy's like what is he doing? He's I can't remember what he's doing, but he's taking like an oath in church, and then it's intercut with like all these people being killed on his orders, and then he like closes the doors and it shuts. I have a feeling that that's kind of what's going to end up happening. It's not necessarily going to all be tied to one person, but that we're going to see like these crossing over like huge kind of machination events where people are just kind of dying left and right, probably like all in the course of like one episode.
Yeah.
It's going to happen kind of quickly. It's going to happen kind of on set, and they're going to make some. Maybe they'll have like somebody making a point, like as these deaths are happening, a person will be like narrating something or saying something about how things need to change or something, and you're just going to see people being killed off and all these plans being exposed, and I just kind of have a feeling that there's going to be a big event like that. I don't know if it's going to be episode 9 or if it'll happen earlier and then it'll recover from there, or maybe it won't happen at all. But that's kind of where I see it going.
I mean, it's funny because episode. I mean, there was like several big events last season. There was early on when Joffrey died, and then later in the season when Oberyn was killed. That was probably the biggest. But there was also that episode 9. Episode 10. Like,
It was episode 9 was the wall.
What?
Episode 9 was the War at the Wall last season.
Yeah, yep, episode 9 was War of the Wall. Episode 10 did have the big moment where Tyrion killed his father.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
the
think
episode aired on Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day for George R. R. Martin.
Yeah.
only George R. R. Martin will give you patricide on Father's Day.
Tyrion gave his dad 2 gifts.
Yes. Oh, jeez. Oh, that's funny. So that was the big end of the season moment, was when Tyrion killed his father, because nobody was expecting that to happen.
Yeah. That's kind of the episode. It always seems to be kind of the general flow of Game of Thrones. It's always 10 episode seasons, and it always seems like episode 9 has either a really big event or a big like what the fuck kind of moment, and then episode 10 is kind of like all the kind of more fantastical stuff, or like the big changing stuff like that kind of results from that, like for instance, like season 1, episode 9, Ned was beheaded. Episode
Yeah.
10, Daenerys' dragons were born.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. Season 2, Episode 9. I can't remember what happened in Season 2, Episode 9.
Wasn't episode 9 the Red Wedding?
No, that was Season 3.
Oh, that was season 3. Yeah, that's right. Season 2 was. Oh, that was the Battle of Blackwater.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
Season
okay.
2, Episode 9 was the Battle of Blackwater. And then Season 2, Episode 10, we saw the Army of the White Walkers.
Yes.
Then Season 3, Episode
Just looking
9.
up on Fort Samwell.
Season 3, Episode 9 was Red Wedding.
Yes.
And Episode 10, that was, I think we got another White Walker related thing. I'm trying to remember.
Yep, that was that White Walkers with the baby, and they touched the baby and made it like, I don't know, made a baby White Walker.
No, that was earlier in the season.
Was that? I
Yeah,
thought that was
yeah.
the end of the season because they showed the ceremony and all that.
No,
that
it was
last-
the end of an episode, but it wasn't the end of the season. I think it was like
Oh,
episode
okay.
6
I
or
think the
something.
end of the season was Arya on the boat.
No, that was season 4. I'm trying
Yeah,
to...
that's right. That was season 4. So I can't actually remember what was at the end of season 3. I'm looking this up.
Yeah, me too here.
Thrones season 3.
Oh, that's when she that's when Daenerys took over Marine or whatever, and they all started calling her mother.
Oh, yep, okay, yep.
Yeah. The kind of bigger, more fantastical moment of that was when all the Unsullied joined her side, though, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And
Yeah,
then, but that was how that one ended. And then season 4, episode 9 was the Battle at the Wall, and episode 10, of course, was Tyrion killing his dad and Arya setting off the
Arya
Bravos on the
setting
boat.
off the Bravos, yep. Which also I don't know where Arya's story is going at this point.
I don't think there's any
That one I don't have
huge events.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any huge events in line for her. I think she's kind of on the path right now where it's not like we're going to have any big shocking stuff happen so much as that we're going to start to learn about the Faceless Men and kind of how they do what they do, and perhaps she'll start learning some of that. And I think that's more what we're going to get rather than an actual kind of big turning moment for her character. Because she's kind of stationary right now. She's in an interesting place because she's going to learn stuff, but
Right,
she's not in like a position like she's been in before, where like her whole world will be turned upside down. She's already kind of committed to this, and she's hang there. Maybe the end of the season for her will be her leaving this group or something, deciding she doesn't want to do it. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't have a read on it at all, so it could go any way.
When do you think Tyrion's going to meet up with Daenerys? Do you think that's going to be next episode? Do you think it's going to be a ways longer?
Going to be next episode, maybe episode 7 or 8 at this point. I'm guessing. Hopefully before the end of the season. If they go the entire season and this doesn't happen, I'll be very disappointed. if it's episode 10 and like Tyrion finally arrives in Marine and then the episode ends, I'll be like, no.
He sees it from a distance, and then the credits start.
Yeah, I know.
I'll see you next year. You're like, ah!
Why?
So yeah, that pretty much covers kind of the main stuff we wanted to talk about. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of editing because we had that my internet dropped out for a little bit. So
I'm just glad it wasn't on my end.
No, it was on mine. I started getting like a message popped up saying there were some issues with my internet, and I looked down and saw the wireless signal was just gone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man.
You were like just completely frozen on my screen, and I was like, is he coming back? Is this gonna unfreeze? What's going on?
Yo, did the world just end?
Yeah, the world just end.
Okay, so there's going to be an awkward cut. So anybody watching this now, you kind of know why there was an awkward cut. My internet just kind of dropped out on me, and we had to rejoin the call. I'm going to cut that, splice the blank part out, and have it be back there. But that pretty much brings us to an end. So I just wanted to say thank you everybody for watching. My name is Tyson. I am the editor-in-chief of TV Enthusiast, and my co-host this evening was Will, who is the news director at TV Enthusiast. We'll be back next week to talk about episode 6. And I believe we'll probably be seeing Arya again next episode, since we didn't see her this episode.
Yeah, we didn't see her for the last 2 episodes, actually. So we should definitely be getting some Arya next week.
Yeah,
I would think.
I think we'll get Arya, and I think we'll get some probably. I don't know if we'll even see Tyrion again. They might put a gap there.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see that, and I think we might see some more about the Faith Militant, because we didn't really get that this episode.
Yeah, there was no Cersei storyline in this episode. I didn't think so, because it was about time for a gap in that storyline.
There wasn't King's Landing at all in this episode, was there?
There wasn't anything about Cersei or King's Landing in this episode.
Yeah, that's right. I think this might be this might be the second episode that King's Landing isn't in at all.
No, King's Landing was in the last episode. That's when all the stuff with the Faith Militant happened.
In episode 4, yeah.
Yep. So
I don't think there was in episode 5, which is the first time. I mean, the second time in the whole series there was an episode.
In the whole series, no King's Landing stuff?
Yeah, there was only one other time, which was the War at the Wall.
Oh,
yeah. That whole episode took place all at the Wall.
That whole episode took place at the Wall. Yeah, you're right. This might. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I just realized that. So yeah, that kind of brings our topic to an end. If you want to send us questions, talk to us about it, you can leave comments on the YouTube channel. You can leave comments on our website, TVEnthusiast.com. You can send us mail at contact@TVEnthusiast.com. That'll just get forwarded to me, and we can discuss anything that's brought up and carry on the conversation with us. If you leave comments, we'll respond. That's pretty much it. So, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.